All right, so first of all, I want to just say welcome to the Leesburg Public Library. This class here is Create a Cookbook using Microsoft Word. In some of our classes that we've held here at the library, we've had a lot of requests for some more advanced classes. This is taking a beginning Word class and adding about 2 or 3 additional features that actually, further exposes you to what you can possibly do inside of Word. But as part of a program that we're initiating this winter and going into spring, we're trying to find some projects that would attract your interest, to be able to use both the software, but also to produce a product that you and your family may enjoy going forward. For this particular class, we're using Microsoft Word. In December, we're using PowerPoint, and in January, we'll be using Excel, and we'll be repeating it with some other projects as it goes along. It really tries to make you have an opportunity to use the software in conjunction with something that you can actually use yourself after the fact versus just learning the software only by itself. With any of my classes here, I'm always available to you offline to be able to work through your particular project, to answer any questions that you may have, work with you. If you don't remember how to do a particular step, I can walk you through that. So I never want you to feel that you are left to your own devices and you have to try to figure this out on your own. Please contact me and we'll be able to work through what you have. As with any of the classes that I do teach here at the library, if you have a question as we go along, please feel free to voice it and we'll get that answer for you. So that way, we don't have that obstacle kind of facing you at that point, as well as your question may be something that someone else may also be thinking of. All right, so I never want to stop you from asking a question. I want you to go ahead and feel free to do so. All right, there's a number of things that I've sent to you. One is the template, which we got down. It is on your computers right now. That is the actual cookbook template that we'll be using in today's class. I've also sent to you a copy of, it's the PDF file, which is a copy of all of my PowerPoint slides that we're going to start with first. I've also sent to you in the handout section 2 sheets of paper. One, we'll see when we get to it, it's called allergy icons. And the second one that says vintage measurement conversions. And again, we'll get to that in just a second. The last file that I sent to you are the instructions. And this is just listed out. I assume that everyone is kind of like got a beginning starting level. So I kind of wrote the instructions in that manner. What I would suggest that if you are a little bit more comfortable with the mouse, that you can do it by a different method of highlighting to be able to replacing. But I just want to make sure that I put it down in the most basic level so that you can understand what you need to do. There was one other thing that I did not send to you as an individual file, which is a folder that has all the icons individually located. I will send that to you separately just because there's a number of images inside of that particular folder, okay? But that's everything that you should have received from me at this point. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a PowerPoint, and then we'll go into the template and we'll work our way through. Okay, so what the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Hold on for just one moment. All right. So I have my PowerPoint up at this particular moment. We're going to take just a few seconds to kind of go through this. And at a certain point inside the PowerPoint, we're going to break off and we're then going to go into the template and we're going to work our way through. But I thought this would at least kind of get our mindset as to what we're going to try to create. I'm going to give you a couple of suggested steps as you move through this project. And at the end, what we can do is we can then regroup with our PowerPoint to discuss some printing options. If we don't get to the printing options, you still have a copy of it in the PDF file that I sent you as to what my recommendations are for printing. All right. So welcome to Create a Cookbook. What we're going to do very quickly is we're going to talk about recipes and cookbooks. This is the library, so I do have to give you just a tiny little bit of facts. And then we're going to get into actually designing your cookbook. That's where the real guts, the glory, and the inspiration is going to be coming in there. We're going to then work our way through the template. We're going to do it at the same time since all of you have it downloaded on your screen. And then we're going to regroup to try to talk about some printing tips for you. All right. So the first thing I just want to talk to you about is a recipe card in a general sort of sense. The purpose of it is really threefold. One, it documents a cooking technique, and to really kind of showcase that the best is really think of any of these cooking shows that we see a lot of times on TV, where they're demonstrating both the recipe that they're making, but also how to create that particular dish, whether it be a particular way that they need you to saute the meat, whether it be a particular way that you prepare and fold in all of your ingredients for a baking recipe, any of those sort of things. A recipe card will document that technique. In the case of some well-known chefs, as well as yourselves, you're going to showcase your particular skills because you have tweaked recipes that you've either found or heard from, and you've made it your own, and you want to showcase that collection yourself. And it's written in a very easily to read format. Prior to this, and the reason why I have this particular image there, is that someone who reads it at a later period in time needs to know exactly how it is that this thing is put together. Because the ultimate goal of a recipe is really to reproduce a dish and all of its flavors. Because you enjoyed it when you tried it, you want to try to recreate it. The earliest known recipe is dated from 1730 BC from the Mesopotamia region. And this picture that you see on your screen is the actual recipe. It's a tablet that they were able to locate, and they are trying to right now both translate it and recreate this recipe. It is for lamb stew. And some of the challenges is obviously you cannot call the chef to be able to pick their brain as to what they did because they're long past. But also the fact that in earlier recipes, you had very just generic ingredients. So for instance, with this lamb stew, they say use 1 medium-sized sheep. Okay. My interpretation of what medium size is vastly different than what your idea of a medium-sized sheep is. So to put these sorts of ingredients together, you have to do a lot of experimentation. And there is a big study because there's several of these recipe tablets that they have been able to locate, and they want to try to recreate them because it gives them a sense of what happened during that time period. A recipe card contains at a minimum an ingredient list, all right, and a set of instructions. You put those two things together and we can usually try to recreate something. Nice to have, what we have been really demanding of our recipe cards in a more modern sense is a photo, because that is usually how someone kind of gets attracted to our recipe, wants to create our dish. And if you're ever trying to sell a cookbook, that's really how you attract buyers' attention of whether or not they want to buy the book. In more modern times, we're also looking at serving sizes because a lot of us are on diets. We may have some nutritional needs that we need to be aware of. We also want to look at prep time, cooking time, and we're also looking for allergies. So any of those pieces of information, while they're nice to have for family, it may be a requirement if you decide to ever try to publish this. In 1896, there have been other cookbooks presented, but they were similar in nature to the old recipe tablet that we found from Mesopotamia, where they were just saying, okay, put this ingredient with this ingredient, mix it together, and if you like it, then there's this product, okay? In 1896, Fannie Farmer manufactured, produced, distributed her cookbook, and it was a game changer for the cooking market. Why? Because it used a scientific method. She was the first person that actually decided to say, okay, if I'm going to reproduce this recipe, I want to know how much stuff I need to use of it. So she actually used 2 cups. She said 2 medium eggs. She said if she blended everything together, she said put all the dry ingredients together, then put all the wet ingredients together, and then fold them in together. It was very precise with her steps as well as what you needed to provide for it. There were no narrative flourishes, meaning that, oh, you wait until the flame reaches 3 inches high, nothing like that. It kind of kept it all out and was very clear and concise. This was a groundbreaker. People were relocating from the cities out into the suburbs, as well as even farther out west at this particular time. You didn't have the ability to step over to your neighbors or your family's abode house and be able to ask the question, how do I put this together? Also, they were getting a lot more educated, so they could actually read. So again, a very good cookbook fell right in line with the trend of the population at that point. Relocation, high literacy rate, and then also they finally created measuring cups, measuring spoons, good chef knives, that sort of thing. And people were able to buy these at the local mercantile and be able to use these in their house. Everything was like a perfect storm. It all came together, and this cookbook really set the stage. In terms of what Fannie's objective was, is she wanted to give people greater control over their food and thus their health. She felt that through the recipes, you were able to gain that, and you were able to communicate that to your family and provide better health overall. That was her true goal. She kept this Fannie Farmer cookbook is still in circulation at this point, gone through many iterations, but that was really what set the stage for more modern cookbooks. All right, that's our little bit of our history. So how do you start your cookbook? Okay, I've given you this teaser of a statement, create a cookbook. How do you want to start with it? Step 1, what I recommend that you look for is a theme to your cookbook. Now, are you going to be locked into this? No. All right, but at least it gives you a framework of how to work, where to work, that sort of thing. Okay, so what could that be? It could be a cheese plate. It could be appetizers. It could be a food stuff. In this particular case, I've got a cookbook there listed about beans. All right, and then you could also have a particular one from a area. Okay, whether it be a geographical area, it could even be from a family location. It's all over to you. What do you want to try to create? Give yourself an idea so you can kind of get yourself enthused about it. Next thing that you're going to want to think about are the number of pages as well as the size. All right, cookbooks come in various different sizes. All right, so here's a small one. This is roughly about 8 inches tall. Here is another one that is the same 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that you would normally see. And then you have another little one that's a square. Okay, so cookbooks can come in various different sizes, and you need to have kind of an idea with that. If you decide to ever use a professional template that you're going to want to sell for out to the public, whether or not you want to get professionally bound and offer it for, out on Amazon, into a bookstore or something like that. If you decide to go down through a professional template, they will lock you into only 20 to 40 pages. So keep that in mind. The template that I've provided you, you can add as many pages in it as you want. Okay. And the last thing you're going to want to think about is what sort of binding method that you want to have for your cookbook. All right. There's various different ways. You can actually do a printout, hole punch it, put it in a 3-ring binder. No one's going to fault you for that. It looks excellent, and you're able to manipulate with it. You could have it and you could put it in one of these binding machines here that puts the spiral on it. All right. Again, you'd still have your papers inside of there. It's got a cover back and front, and it can go flat. Again, perfectly sufficient, and it fulfills the purpose. The other way that you can do it is you can get it professionally bound, where you get a hard cover back and front, and you have it glued here in the center. Keeping in mind that as you continue to go up in complexity with your binding, you're going to be adding cost. All right. Now, I'm not dissuading you. I just want you to kind of get a framework for yourself. What are you envisioning a project with? I am an expert at starting projects. I get totally enthused with them. And then as I start to buy supplies for it, the cost keeps elevating. And it's like, oh, crap, this gets right outside of my budget. All right. So I'm just kind of cautioning you, kind of get an idea in your head of what you want to achieve, and then see how much it costs, and then back down from that. And step 2 is all about the pricing. How many books are you wanting to produce? If it's just for yourself, obviously, book quantity equals 1. If it's for your family, all right, which may have, let's say, 25 individual units, that's book quantity equals 25. If you're planning on trying to sell this for a local organization or one of your clubs, all right, you're hoping to sell, let's say, 100. Your book quantity equals 100. Your greater economics of scale, okay, will allow you to get a better overall pricing. It may be better to do the professional binding because at a quantity of 100, you actually get it down to a very realistic cost of, let's say, just as an example, $3 per book, right? That could easily fit inside of your budget. If, however, you decide to have a quantity of 1 and you get it professionally bound, that quantity via, let's say, Shutterfly or even one of our local office supply stores may tell you, okay, to be able to do that with the style that you're looking for, it may be a cost of $50 because you only have 1 cookbook that you're generating. Is that in your budget? Yes, no. Again, kind of give yourself a reality check as you move into the next step. The other consideration that you want to think about is your delivery method. Obviously, you can send something electronically, provided that the file is of a certain size, because a lot of people with email inboxes, they do have restrictions on the size of file that they would be able to receive. You may need to then instead ship a flash drive to everybody if you're going to do it digitally. If you're going to send a bound copy, then again, you have some shipping costs on top of that. So you can see how your price point keeps getting higher and higher. Again, I'm just cautioning you, keep it in check, make sure that it meets with your expectations on that. All right, with these 2 steps, you've got your scope and your budget established, all right? And you're able to go on to step 3. This is where you want to set a schedule for yourself. Send out a notice to all involved. If it's just you, great. You just have to hold yourself to whatever sort of end date that you're looking for. Gather up all your recipes and start working with it. If you are going to be asking it from family members, or if you're going to be doing this project in conjunction with an organization or a club, and you're going to be soliciting information from other people, all right, send out this note to these people. State what sort of document or files that you're wanting to receive. It could just be the ingredients list with the step-by-step instructions. It could also be requesting a photo of the food stuff also, all right? Make sure you're very clear as to what you'd like to have, and if you don't get it, make plans in your schedule of how to get that remaining pieces of information. State what file format you need. If you're using, in our cookbook, we're using Word documents, you'd really love to be able to use that. If they send a PDF file to you, you're going to have to retype it. Unless you happen to have an Adobe Writer software on your computer, and most people do not, all right, you're going to have to retype the information. If they had instead sent to you it in Word, you could easily do a quick copy paste, and again, you gain some time. Big key thing here is set a date for when you need all their information to get to you. All right, so if you're starting today, Give yourself until the end of the month, or give yourself 3 weeks from now of saying, okay, if you're going to be a part of this project, get it to me by this date. That way they have a date on their calendar and you know when you can start to work on it after that point. Last thing I want to mention about this is be prepared to offer suggestions. People who do not cook, like me, okay, do not know what their specialty dishes are. It's very rare that they would ever be asked to produce a very specific food stuff for any of your events. So if you have something that you know that you particularly like from this individual, be sure to kind of put a little bug in their ear, give them that suggestion that you're looking for that particular recipe. I do not cook very much at all, okay? And as a result, when my family gets together, I'm usually the one that volunteers for the bread, the napkins, something like that where no one else has to taste my cooking. Every so often, I do produce a dish, and it's something that my family enjoys quite a bit. They'll make a point of saying it to me because I just do not bring in dishes. This is the same sort of person that you may be asking for something. Make sure that you ask them for that particular recipe if you want them to be included. All right, when you get all of your information in from everybody, okay, preserve it. Scan all documents and photos to preserve it digitally for yourself. One, because all of the photos you're going to want to insert into your template very easily, but also the fact of is sometimes they're going to be sending you the originals, and they may want those originals back for sentimental reasons. Go ahead and scan it so you actually have it as a piece of paper, an electronic file, and then that way you can actually type in or copy and paste from that. You'd be able to return the originals to the owner at that moment. If you're going to be doing a genealogy project, this is a great way to capture this historic information and put it into your genealogy folder with that individual, so that way you have a greater record as to what they produced for your family. Now, step 5, some of your older recipes that you may be receiving from your grandparents or your great-grandparents, something like that, maybe be handed down from generation to generation, may have some very strange measurement conversions. Why? It's just what they used at that particular time period. So one of the handouts I sent to you was called Vintage Measurement Conversions. And on this, it was provided to me by Family Tree Magazine. They have certain ideas that they may be on your recipe of what the equivalent is in more modern standards. For example, in one of the older recipes, you may see something called a salt spoon, all one word, salt, S-A-L-T spoon. And that is the equivalent of a 1/4 teaspoon. So it kind of gives you these terms and what the more modern conversion is. Another example is a saucer. Okay, we're thinking saucer on a teacup. It's not. What it means is 1 heaping cup of dry good. So again, it kind of gives you some ideas there if you get some of those more vintage recipes submitted, but you go through your conversion at that point. Any questions so far? You doing okay?
Doing good.
All right. All right, step 6, snap your food photo. I can't say that too quickly, can you? I want to remind you to keep the focus on the food. Many times when we do a screenshot or even with a selfie with some of our food that we have nowadays, we also get everything else that's around our plate at that moment. When we're creating a cookbook, any of the ones that you see professionally, they focus on the food itself. They want your attention to be there. Why? Because that's all the information about it. You don't want your eyes to drift to other things around it because it clouds the issue. You lose the focus, you lose the point of that particular page. Use natural or soft lighting, and do not use the flash. If any of you have ever taken my digital camera class where I show people how to use their camera phone, I tell them disable the flash. The only time that you ever want to use a flash is if you are stuck on the side of the road, your car is not operable, and you've called a tow truck to come, and they say, can you send me something that's wrong? You open up the hood, and you want to take a photo of your engine at that moment. Turn the flash on because you want to see every single piece of detail on that under the hood to be able to send it in that particular case. Otherwise, it creates false lighting, everything reflects back and everything flattens out. Instead, what you want to do is you want to adjust your exposure on the side to be able to get greater depth inside of your photo, to be able to see the dark, the light, what comes forward, what fades into the background. Exposure gives you a lot more ability to control what you're seeing versus a flash. And again, avoid the extra decoration. So I want to give you an example, all right, so we can kind of see what I'm talking about here. All right, food photography. I'm going to show you an image on one side, and then I'm going to show you a second image on the right side so you can see the comparison. Here's the first one. All right, looking at this image, where does your eyes focus?
The apple.
The apple. All right, do you even see the fact that there's cookies on the sheet?
After a bit, yes.
After a bit, correct. My eye is constantly kind of rotating around this image. I'm seeing the pine cones. I'm seeing the glitter balls. I'm seeing the furs. I'm seeing the fact that it's on rough wood. It's not even on a cutting board. It's on rough wood, the cookies. Then you see this apple. All right, there's too much to focus on. If your objective is to portray a recipe for the cookies, you want the cookies to be front and center. Okay. Now compare this photo with a different photo. All right, where is your eye focus?
On the inside of the chicken.
On the inside of the chicken. So you might be having a recipe here for chicken cordon bleu, and you want to see the inside. You want to see the layers. You want to see the ham inside, and you want to see that little bit of cheese entering through. Yes, you have a salad there, but it's on a nice white plate, but your focus is completely on that piece of chicken. You don't see anything else around the outside of the plate. That's the purpose of food photography. And if you look at any of the professional cookbooks that are out here, okay, and as an example, here's one with muffins, okay? The focus is completely on the plate of muffins, right? There's nothing else that you see around here. Yes, you see the end of a piece of utensil, but that's it. The focus is always on the food stuff. So how do we build this into our own cookbook? All right, now if you do not get photos yourself from when everybody submits in the recipes to you, and you're planning on going to a family get together, ask them all to make this particular dish. You can have it over to the side, and then just take your phone with you, okay, your smartphone, and snap the pictures. Stage them appropriately and snap the pictures so that you can get a similar effect as this photo here on the right-hand side of our screen with the chicken. Avoid the excess like it's showing on the left, okay? All right, we've now got all of our bases covered. We have our scope, we have our budget, we have our recipes, we have some photos. All right, now it's time to actually put them all together. There's two ways that you can possibly do this. One is you can get templates based that are out there, but you have to pay for them, all right? And I try to avoid those if I can find something for free that meets my needs. Subscription-based, there's a very good service there. It's called Envato Elements. They have a number of templates out there, but it costs. It's usually an annual membership. They will bill you monthly off of it, but you can do as many downloads from it as possible. But if you're only looking to do a cookbook and that's the totality of your project, then what you want to, why would you want to spend for an annual membership to just get one template from them? It just doesn't, for me, make sense with the cost. But they have some very nice ones, and if you're ever thinking about making a professional one for sale, similar to these. They have some really good things in there. But the other caveat is it costs money and you're also limited to pages. There are several free templates out there on the internet. One is through Microsoft itself. All right, I took a look at this particular template and I did not feel that it came up to my high standards of what I would want to have in a free template. I want it to be very professional looking. I want to have some options available to it, but I'm also looking at the graphics. All right. And what they have in Microsoft would resemble like a cartoon. Think of the Flintstones. Remember when Wilma would always serve Fred, like a big plate of ribs, and had that, the dinosaur bones coming out of it and this massive sort of thing. All right, that is the sort of imagery that they had on the Microsoft. Very cartoony, very not appealing to be able to do something. It's like, no, I don't want to mess with this because I don't want to replace everything to try to create the image that I'm looking for. Another source that I was able to find, which is actually the source of the template that I sent you, is a service called Use Detect. And they have a number of Microsoft Word templates out there that are free to use. The only thing that they ask for is that you kind of provide some credit towards them for helping with the design. And the image that you see there to the right is one of their cookbook templates. It's called the Beautiful Cookbook. And it's quite lovely. The objection that I had with it is that it's very feminine looking. And I was trying to look for a template that would be more appealing to both male and females if you were going to give it to your family. But this one is also available and it's free to download. If you're interested in that, just contact me and I can send you the site. So we are about to jump into our template, but I want to review just one thing here on the mouse. Again, I'm making the assumption that you know Microsoft Word, but also that you are somewhat familiar with the computer, but you may not be. So I just want to just double check with the mouse because you're going to be hearing me give you instructions for both the left and the right mouse button. On the left, what this means is action oriented. It performs a specific activity. On the right-hand button, if I tell you to click that, it's going to reveal additional options, menus, that sort of thing that we can select from. We will be having to use that on a couple of occasions to be able to get to certain sections of the template. Regardless, I do have the instructions sheet. Remember, that's one of the documents that I sent to you that will tell you exactly when to click these buttons if you need to. All right. And then I'm going to stop sharing right here because we'll be coming back to this one. And now we're going to go into that template that I sent to you. Bear with me. Okay, so at this point, we are actually in your template. So I'm not sure if you want to watch me as we go through this, or if you would like to work along with me at this point. It's over to you as to which way you want to proceed forward at this moment. One of the things that I have done is I have enlarged and colorized my mouse. I'm not sure if you see it right there, but it's bright pink on your screen. I'm kind of moving it here in general, right on top of the template. So you can see where I'm going to be clicking as I do these adjustments here on our screen. So first thing we're going to want to do is you're going to want to save your file to another name. Okay, right now it's labeled as the template. You're going to want to save it as a regular file name. So you're going to want to do a file and then save as, and then put it into a new name. All right, once you've saved it to a new name, you're going to have the same sort of image right here on your screen We're now going to start to update our file at this point. Everything that you see here is something that you're going to be replacing text-wise with your particular name. So instead of saying professional recipe book design, this could be, all right, and what I did is I put my cursor here at the beginning of the word, and then I just, with my left mouse button, I highlighted this entire line. So now I can type on here. Let's do Elaine's. All right, now I want to leave recipe book just because I'm just deciding to call it that. I'm taking my mouse, using my left mouse button, placing my cursor that you see blinking on your screen after the word book. Whoops. And I can either highlight or I can press my delete button to get rid of the rest of the word. But regardless, I've created a title for my book at this moment. If you're going to do it along with me, I'll give you a second. Now, if you decide that you want to add something about the cooking focus, all right, you're going to want to put it on this next line here. If you don't want it, all you have to do is erase it. So again, I'm going to put my cursor here so you can see it blinking right immediately before the word use. And I'm going to highlight the entire thing. Here's a way that you can do it all at once. Hold down your shift key and continue holding it. Move your your mouse button here. You can see me kind of floating it here. After the end of etc. period, and then you see the parentheses. And I click it with my left mouse button. The entire thing automatically gets highlighted, and you can immediately start typing to over top of this. So say I want to do appetizers. Okay. I'm just replacing it so I have a focus to my book. If you'd like to increase the size of the word appetizers, again, I just highlighted it. I'm going to go up to my home button. Here's my tabs right here along the top of my screen. Hit the home tab. Come over here to where it says 12. And then click it to 18. And I made it larger. The colors of this particular template are rose, dark green, or a brown. This particular block right here is in a rose color. It's very able to be updated as to a different color if you'd like it. Right now, if you tap anywhere inside of this, you see these little round circles right here, right here, and right here on top. There's other ones over on the left and the right, but they're just off screen at this moment. This is what's called a shape or a frame. And let me see here if I can get, I need to move this down just a tiny little bit. Bear with me. No, it's not going to do it. Okay, I'm just going to have to leave it this size because I need to get up to this tab here, and my controls here are for my screen share are right overlapping it. Anyway, you see my round circles here on the top and on the bottom. This is what's called a shape, and this is how this particular template is designed. Where we're going to be replacing shapes. If you want to change the color from rose, up here you're going to see a new tab that's been displayed to you called Drawing Tools. If you click on Format, here's where you have the shape fill. If you click this feature, you're going to have all sorts of colors displayed to you here, as well as some other options. All right. If you want to change this box to a different color, these are some standard ones. Okay, I can change it to like a pale lavender, or I can change it to a green. It's however you would like to present your particular book. All right, if you're enamored with a particular color, go ahead and update it at this particular moment.
All right,
If you
but
just-
wait a minute now. What is it? Where are you here? Is this the home button or what?
No, up here on the top of your screen, you're going to see some some new tabs. This one's going to be called Drawing Tools. The only time that you see this particular tab displayed is when you click somewhere on this box.
Oh,
So your cursor, okay, the blinking line has to be on this box somewhere. So for instance, if I click down here, all right,
wait a minute, wait a minute, I'm off it. Okay, go ahead.
okay, all right. If I click down here lower on the page, you'll see our image there with our little eggs. Okay, now has the round circle here. This is the frame that's now the active source. If I want to come back up here to update this color, okay, again, I'm taking my cursor. Let's play, I'm putting on the end of the letter S here on my title of Elaine's, okay?
Yes, but I don't have those tools over there on the left-hand side like that.
Tools.
Right over here, looks like that.
Oh, insert shapes and stuff?
Yeah, I don't have that on my screen. I have other things.
Okay, do you still have the word shape fill though?
Shape fill. No, I don't have any of that.
All right, are you on this file box? So do you have your cursor?
I was down further. I was down further underneath that. I'm sorry.
It's no problem. Place your cursor on this box so you see it blinking. See how mine is blinking there after the word Elaine's?
All right. Okay. Now I got that, but I still
Okay.
don't have those little things there. Oh, format. Text box tools.
That should be it.
It should be it.
Okay. Shall I?
You have, yeah, you have something called shape fill. And this may be a function of the age of your
All right,
Microsoft Word.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so if you click on shape fill, you should have your options with your colors that you can change.
Okay, colors, yes.
Okay. Now, if you don't like any of these standard theme colors that they have listed here, this option here that says more fill colors, if you click on that, here's the full rainbow.
Wow.
And you can select anything in here. Now, if you want to specify a very particular color, so say for instance, you want to come back to this rose at some point, those color numbers are listed here on the top of my instruction sheet that I sent to you. And what I've identified here is if you go on to more colors, here's the number. So this rose color is red 221, green 190, and blue 177. That's how you can find that very specific color that was originally called out on your template. If you ever want to go back to it, that's why I listed here. Okay. All right, so right now, just with this one little block right here, we've already created your title for your book. All right, I'm going to scroll down the page a little bit. What I did is I just used my thumb wheel on my mouse. It's that center wheel button, and I just going to scroll down a little bit. And I see this image here of this thing with two eggs in the middle of some flour. And I want to change this to something. I want to change it to something that's particular to my cookbook, my recipe. I'm going to click directly on the image itself. Okay. You see that now the little round circle right here is on the top of this image right here, and here's the one on the lower side. Okay. And I'm going to want to change this picture. Up on the top of your screen, you should see another new tab now displayed. In this case, it's called Picture Tools. So I'm going to click on that, Picture Tools format. All right, so let's see what we're going to do here. All right, so if you ever want to do some very particular changes to this item, okay, if you want to do some cropping, if you want to do some other stuff like that, then this would be the area that you want to do. However, there's two ways that you can actually add a picture onto a document. One is if you directly insert it. And the second way is if you have it in a frame. And in this particular case, with this template, you are in a frame. So instead of on your picture tools, you're going to go into your drawing, right where we were before. Okay. I'm going to go up here to my shape fill. Here's all our nice colors again. And yes, we're not going to put a color there. You can if you like, but you don't have to. Below where it says more fill colors, I see the word picture. If I click that, I get this nice pop-up window. Hopefully you're seeing it yourself. And it says insert pictures, where you can do it from a file. You can do an image search, or if you happen to have it out on a OneDrive or a Google Drive, you can actually go out there and look. Depends on where you saved your imagery. Remember, this is also part of one of my steps that I told you before you kind of started with your template, was to save everything digitally. Here's where it comes into play. All right, I'm going to want to hit from a file, because I have some images that are saved here. So it's a pop-up will occur. All right, what you want to do is just asking you, where are the images? All right, and I'm going to select a vegetable skewer, just as an example. So again, my recipe book's called Appetizers. This would kind of fit right inside of there. Now, sometimes your picture may not look exactly correct. All right. And in that particular case, you want to come over to your file format, picture tools format. It's one right to immediately to the right here on the top of your screen. And under the word crop, right here, don't hit crop, because what that means is that you want to size it to a much smaller frame. But if you click on there's a downward facing arrow. There's one that says fill. If you click fill, you actually see your whole dimensions of your scale of picture. Okay, everything's locked aspect ratio wise. And you can actually move this thing up and down inside the frame to align and select just the area that you wanted to see. So instead of it elongating or compressing, okay, it's going to look real funny. You click cropped and then fill, then you get the true picture as you originally intended, and then you can drag it around to fill the frame and select the area that you want to do it. To get off of this, all you have to do is put your cursor anywhere else on the page. Any questions about that? You want me to do it again?
I'm good.
Okay. So at this point, I've got a title on my book. I've updated my photo. And the last thing that's here on this page is I just have to put my name here. So I put my cursor here on the front of the word author. I'm a real big proponent of just highlighting using the mouse, but if you're not comfortable with it, again, just put your cursor here in front of author, hold your shift key down, and then place your mouse cursor here at the end of the word here, and click with your left mouse button. It highlights the entire thing. Update it with your name. And then you're going to want to do the same things down here where it says insert your city and state. So all I did is I updated the word curated by to reflect my name. I have the credit because I'm using the template used to tech. Now, if you continue to make design changes to yourself, you can actually leave that off because you're the one that's doing it. I went ahead and I put the city and the state there. It's especially important if you're going to resell this or if you're going to be identifying a very particular geographical location as the theme of your cookbook, you may want to have that there. This is your page 1. All right, so page 2 we're coming into. We have another image here, okay? To switch it, the same scenario. We click on the image. So I'm just putting my cursor right here, square in the middle of the photo. As soon as I click on it once, you don't have to click and hold, but just click on it once. You'll see we have a round circle here on the top and a round circle here on the bottom. Again, this is what's called a frame. We're going to change our photo at this particular point. To do that, we go up to our drawing tools. Click on that. Here's our shape fill again. I'm going to come down my options here below where it says more fill colors. I'm going to go to picture. Here's my little pop-up window again. I'm going to say from a file. Now, this is a real good example of how your image may look like it's stretched out, okay? This isn't what I want it to look like. It looks distorted, okay? So the photo is still current because here's my little dot here and my little dot here on the bottom, okay? So what I want to do is I want to switch from my drawing tools format tab up here at the top of my screen to my picture tools format. Come over here to where it says crop, over here under the size grouping. Click my downward facing arrow. Click the word fill. Now, see how my photo changed? It's no longer distorted. And what I can do is I can place my mouse right in the center of it, and I can drag it down or up, however I want it to be. Get just the right vantage point that I want with it. I let it go with my mouse, and then I click anywhere on the page. So now it's changed from this distorted view of these little appetizers to now something that's clearly in focus, and it's immediately looking at the ones that are in that I want people to identify with. That was a good example there of how your photo could come in distorted and how you recreate, you say, don't distort. Instead, I want you to focus in on this. Any questions on that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So again, I'm still scrolling down a little bit farther on page 2. This is an opportunity for you to make a dedication or to consider to make a statement as to what you're intending with this particular cookbook, okay? If you're planning on doing a family cookbook, this may be, you know, give yourself a little opportunity to be able to provide some history of the family or who's contributed to it, how many people have put into it, why you were inspired to write this particular cookbook. This is your opportunity to really inform people as to why you wanted to do this. All right, and all it is just replacing the text. You put your cursor here on the to the left of the word consider. Click on it once, so you make that current. Down here to the end. Hold my shift button and then click with my left mouse so the whole thing is highlighted there, and then I can just replace. I'm just going to say the word because I wanted to.
about that other picture that's just above it?
All right, we're going to do that in just a sec.
Okay.
All right, this little picture right here. Okay. This is another frame. So if I click on it, here I have my images. All right, what we've done is we've blocked out and made it into a circle at this particular point. So if I come up here to the top, my drawing tools, here's my shape fill again, down into pictures, from file. Let's see, I did my tuna patty. All right, so here's a funny looking tuna patty again. I went up to picture tools, underneath my crop, and I do my fill. See, I can move it to the left or to the right. And you actually see the fact that I've got it blocked out here as a circle pattern. Okay, so click on that. So here's my tuna. Say I don't want to have a circle anymore. Okay. I click on my image again. I come back over here to drawing tools. All right. Over here you have insert shapes on the very far left side of our ribbon that's been displayed here. If I want to change this, I'm clicking, and let me get off of that so you can see what I did there. All right, here's all my standard shapes. Over here on the very far right of this option, okay, you have a little line with a very small downward facing arrow. It's actually more shapes that are available to you. If you click on this button, and hopefully everybody can see it with my cursor there, if I click on that, I see all sorts of different shapes that I can do. If I want to change it from a circle frame to, let's say, an octagon, oh, that's insert. Hold on for a second. That would require me to put it in. No, that wasn't it. Oh, it's the dashes. All right, it's not allowing me to actually update it. Yeah, here it is. Okay. If you want to actually put a new one in here, this would be how you would do it with the insert shapes. Okay, so if I clicked on here with the plus sign, the octagon, I could put a new shape here and I can change what's inside of it. But that's not what we want to do. All right, I want to change this shape here. So I'm clicking on it under my drawing tools tab. And here I have my edit shape button right over on the top. Here's my insert shapes, but this little one here that has the dots connected with a downward facing arrow, that's my edit. I can change my shapes, and then here are all these same images again. And I can actually adjust it so it's a little bit different. Well, let me do it again. Highlight the image by clicking on it. Under my drawing tools format tab, over here on the far left side, we have insert shapes. That's if I was going to put something new in. This one up top, immediately to the right of it, has edit shape. If I click on that, I have change shape, and then I have all different sorts of options that I could possibly use. All right, change it to an oval. All right, and that's what we've got right here. To get off of it after you've made your adjustment, you just click anywhere else on the screen. So if you had a good family photo that you wanted to have inside of here, you can highlight so just your face comes here or a particular person's face comes here. Or if you even want to make this image larger, okay, I'm going to click right on it. And you can either do two things. You can either click with your left mouse button on the corners, or under your drawing tools, you have a size right here. listed here immediately on the right-hand side. You have 2.5 inches because it's a perfect square. If I go up, and all I'm doing is just hitting the up button, I can get a tall oval if I want it to be the same size both ways. I just make the bottom width-wise the same number, and you can see that I've made a larger image. Everybody still with me?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I'm just scrolling down the page a little bit more. All right, and you're going to see this thing that's highlighted down, or really kind of grayed out down here. This is your footer area. To be able to edit this, because this is going to print out on every single page of your book, it just gives people page numbers. All right, you want to put your cursor right on top of it. Okay, so you just see my mouse just pointing towards it. And I want you to right click, not left, but right click, and you're going to see a little bitty pick list appear immediately to your right. It's going to say edit footer. If you move your mouse just slightly onto it, you'll see it highlighted, and then you want to click with your left mouse button because you want to edit your footer. What will appear is a dashed line on your page. You'll see this little ID thing here to the left that says the word footer. And this will now appear in regular typeface. It's no longer grayed out. Like for instance, here up on the upper side of the page, you see it's now in shades of gray. This is all here in black. So what you want to do is you want to update this to reflect your title of your book. So I'm putting the right cursor here to the left of the word update. So you see it kind of blinking there. I'm going to come down here to the end of the word title. I'm going to hold my shift key down and then left mouse button click after the word title. So I've got the whole thing highlighted there. And I'm going to update it by just typing the title of my book. Elaine's recipe book.
Okay, now on mine, I've got first page footer and it's all dots and dashes.
All right, you don't want to do anything on the first page. Okay, you only want to do this on page 2.
Oh, all right, so. Oh, update to reflect your, okay.
Okay.
So then I wipe out that update and say what?
Yeah, and say the name of your cookbook. So in my case, mine said Elaine's recipe book. So however you want your title, your cookbook to be named, go ahead and type it in here. You do not have to worry about the 2 hash marks nor the word page 2. You're going to keep that the same. The only thing that you want to update with is the title.
Okay, so then what?
All right, up on the top of your screen now, you should have a new tab here that says Header and Footer Tools. Over here on the far right of it, it says Close Header and Footer. If I click that, it gets me off of my footer. And now you see it's been updated here to reflect your title with the page number. Okay.
On mine, it says a table of contents is just above it.
All right, what happened here with that is because, and this is going to be one of our advanced ones that we're also learning about, is because when we changed here on page 2, whatever your length of dedication was, or if you didn't do anything here with your image, okay, this kind of scrolled up. We want to make sure that your table of contents always stays on its own separate page, okay?
Oh.
So what you want to do is you want to place your cursor right here before the word table of contents. Okay, so it should be blinking there before the word of table of content.
It says update table above it.
Don't worry about that yet. That's going to
Right.
be another step that we're going to do. Okay. You just want to see how my cursor is sitting there blinking in front of the word table. Make sure that it's there.
Okay.
All right, up on the top of your screen, I want you to click the word insert for the insert tab ribbon.
Mhm.
When that does, on the far left-hand side of your page, okay, you're gonna see one that says cover page, you're gonna see blank page, and you're gonna see page break. I want you to hit the word page break. And it should now be on page 3.
All right, but now I've got a blank in there. It's on page 3 now, but I've got a blank square.
Okay, like for instance, what you see on my screen. Okay,
Yes.
all right, so if I click anywhere up here on this table here that's blinking, okay. All right, it's thinking that there's going to be something there. There's not going to be. We should be able to delete it. All right, to get rid of that square, instead of the word, you hit update table, there should be a little option right here immediately to the left. Shows like a page with a downward facing arrow. You click on the downward facing arrow. One at the bottom says remove table of contents.
Oh, all right.
All right, but it's going to remove everything. Don't worry about it. We're going to put one in. All right, so right now you should have your dedication, and it should now say your insert your section title here. Is that what yours says now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if I want to add a new page in between here for that table of contents, I'm going to put my cursor here beside in front of the word insert. I'm going to go up here to the top where it's under my insert tab. We have to come back up in here. Let's do this again. If you ever have to go back on something, your undo button is your helpful friend up on the top left. Okay. What we want to do is to get a new page in. All right, go to your last line of like under dedication, press your enter key so it's sitting there blinking on the next one. And then this is where you insert your page break. And then it will come down in here. And your table of contents will then be on another page again.
Oh, I must have missed something there.
No worries. I can walk you through that again.
All right, so I should go back to where the dedication is now?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Click here on the end of your paragraph if you updated it at all.
Yeah, all right.
All right, press your enter key so you're on a new line.
All right.
Go up to the top, click on the word insert.
Yep.
And then hit page break.
Oh, I thought we did that with the, all right.
All right, so your table of contents actually stays there.
Oh, now I got those dishes again.
It may copy across with that just because it assumes what your formatting was here. No worries, we can easily take that off if you need to. Just have to click on the image and hit your delete button.
Image and click delete.
All right, so page 3 will be our table of contents. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit farther. You're going to see here at the bottom of page 3, and you see it automatically numbers it again. Here's Elaine's recipe book, and it says page 3.
Yeah, I got page 3, but it's totally blank now.
All right, no worries. I'll get you back on that. All right, this is going to be a repeat of our title page. Why? Because I thought you may want to have a section title here. With my appetizers, I may have ones that are set up for fruits. I may have another section set up for vegetables. I may have another set up for cooked appetizers. You may want to have a section in here. So all you would be doing would be updating it to reflect that name here. Okay, so you would be doing this exact same setup as what we did with our title page. You change your title here. So instead of it reading this, and maybe I don't want to have 2 lines, okay? I just want it to be 1. So I'm going to delete my first one. So now I'm just left with my white. And I'm going to do this here as, let's say, fruit trays. I don't know, for lack of something. I don't necessarily need this next line. I have it available to me if I want to. So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight and then hit delete. Here's my image here. So I just click on it. I'm going to change my picture to something. So I'm going to hit my drawing tools format. Hit my shape fill again. Come down here to picture. Find a file. I'm not sure if I have anything with fruits. So I'm going to do it again. Shape fill, picture. Let me see if I can do something out here on Bing. Fruit trays. I'm going to think for a second. All right, so here's some fruit trays that I could possibly put in there just to show you that you have some options of either doing it straight from file or to go out on Bing. I'm just going to choose, it's not necessarily fruit, but here's a vegetable tray. I highlight the image and I hit insert. Thinking for a second, it changed here. Again, it looks distorted to me. So I'm going to go up to my picture format tab, click on crop underneath of it, and hit the word fill. So now I see this portion, so I can actually bring it up just a tiny bit. I'll change this from fruit to vegetable. So now I have my header changed to vegetable trays. This is going to be my section. And here's my new image. So here's my footer. It's still saying Elaine's recipe book, but now it's page 4. All right, if I decided I wanted to write anything about my vegetable trays, I can put this in here. You can even add more photos. So say, for instance, you want to add a photo. Great for genealogy. Go to insert. In this case, I'm not putting it in a frame. I'm putting in a brand new image, okay? I go up to the top where I have the insert tab and I hit pictures. Or I can hit online pictures if you're going to search for something. So I'm going to do an online search again. And I'm going to put my vegetable. Searching for a second. Here's some more vegetable trays. That's the one we already used. Oh, I like this one. This is something different. All right, so you saw that it inserted this onto another page because of the size. If I want to change the size, I can either do one of two things. I can either manually dial it in here over on the top of your screen under my picture tools tab. I can change the sizing of it, or I can take my mouse and you only want to grab the corners and I can downsize it to here. Okay, it comes back up because it's a smaller size onto my original page. And I also have this little box listed right here to the right. If I click on this, right now I have it in line with my text. meaning that if I wanted to keep typing, my text would appear down below because this is all on one line. It's considered as if you were just typing on a dotted line. Instead, I wanted to wrap around my picture. So with text wrapping, I'm going to choose, so it's a real tight fit with it. You have the options of being able to go real close. You can actually write your typing over top of the image and have the image in the background. You can do whatever you want to with it. I usually choose this first one here. To get off of it, all you have to do is click anywhere else on the screen. So now when I start typing, if I type a sentence here, the text will be displayed next to the image. So that way you can insert a new image, photo inside on a page and still be able to have text to the side so it's not stretching everything out. So if you were going to use this with a family cookbook, you could have a family image here. You could have one particular person here, or if they send you some images of them cooking, over the course of the years, you can have one with the kids are teeny tiny. You can have ones with the kids are teenagers. You can have one now. You could actually have that progression in here, and then you can just do a little blurb to the side as to what it means to that group. All right, so I'm gonna come down a little bit farther. So again, you see the footer here with page 5. And then you start coming into your recipes itself. This is really why I chose this particular template, because of these icons. I really like the looks of them, and I like the fact that it provided a lot of additional pieces of information. The other templates that were offered by this particular company, Used to Tech, did not have any of this information on it. It was strictly an image and had the ingredients and it had the instructions. I like the fact that you have all of this other sort of stuff because they're very common questions that are asked when you supply a recipe to somebody. How long does it take to prepare it? Sometimes it takes a couple of minutes. Sometimes it takes a couple of days. Knowing that indicates to the person as they read your recipe how involved it's going to be. Same with your cook time. Here's where you have the ability to add the person's name who submitted the recipe to you. And here's where your allergies are going to come into play. If you're planning on distributing this into your family who you know have known allergies, you're going to want to identify these particular icons. If you're planning on selling your cookbook, again, you're going to want to identify what allergies are potential inside of your recipe to make people aware of it. The icons that you see there are for, and I just put 2 in as illustration. One is for celery and one is for milk. In one of the handouts that I gave you, it's called the allergen logos. These are the known 14 from Europe that they use on their menu system. There is no commonality to menu icons internationally, nor here domestically, for what you would want to put on there. So these were the most common that I know that would be able to be used over in Europe. And it just kind of gets you something on the page to be able to identify it. When I send you the thank you link, I'm going to be sending you all of these icons individually so you can swap these images out for yourself, depending on if you want to use it. If you decide you don't want to use it, all you have to do is delete it off of the page here. But to update it, here's the same thing with our photo. We've done that before. Okay, to add your calorie count, I'm just clicking here to the end of the calories. Just do a space and you can type in your number at that point. Everything is just adjustable. That's what the great feature of templates are. Templates are really a design element that you're updating to reflect what you truly want to show off of it. You're making it your own. Okay, and then further down here, here are your ingredients. Again, you're just replacing it. Whoops. 1 cup sugar. Let's see, 3 carrots. You know, you're just specifying, okay? Doing the same with your instructions. You have the ability to enter in images after this if you have a particular cooking technique that you want to have, whatever you'd like. All right. Now, this is where your template ends, okay? Meaning that this is the last of it. Well, you've got more than one recipe that you want to include in your book. How do you add another one? Okay. This is where we're going to talk about this next step. All right, I want you to put your cursor underneath the ingredients. So you see where it's blinking here underneath this dark horizontal line? This means that it's below your table that's been created there. Okay. We're going to insert a blank page. So I'm going to go up to my insert tab here on the top of my screen. Over here under my pages group, I'm going to hit page break. My cursor should now have moved from underneath my table onto my next page here. You see the footer for my page 6 displayed right here on top. All right, there's nothing on this page. All right, I want to be able to add a new recipe. So how do I do it? All right. Let's see here. Because I am not big screen, I need to find where I am. Okay. All right. Pardon me while I did that for a second because I'm doing with a minimal thing so I can see all of my commands here. Everything is kind of downsized a little bit for my icons up at the top. So I want to make sure I point out to you exactly which one we have to use. While I'm sitting here with my cursor blinking here on my blank page, I want to go up here to my insert tab. And over here under my text grouping, okay, you see the word text box. This one up here is called quick parts. And in fact, your icon might be bigger on your screen because you've got it full screen versus mine is minimized. If you click on the word quick parts, you're going to see a little pick list appear. The reason why I sent you a template is because I have the ability with a template to save for you the images that you're going to need to be able to add additional pages. Each one is labeled. So here you have cookbook section page. Okay, remember this is where I typed in vegetables. This is my section info page. This would immediately follow my section that would be able to give a little bit of information about this particular chapter of my cookbook. And then here at the top one, here is a new recipe page. So all I'd have to do, put my cursor here on the one that says recipe page and just click on it. And now, here's all of your text for a new recipe for you to be able to enter it. Let me do that again. All right, so here's my cursor. All right, it's underneath my table here, not on my table, but underneath of it. I go up to the insert tab on the top of my screen. On my ribbon here under the pages grouping, I click page break. My cursor is now here on, in this case, page 8. Here's page 7 above here. There's nothing on page 8 right now. I want to add in a new recipe. So here under my insert tab, I come all the way over here on my ribbon to the text grouping. I click on the one that says quick parts. It displays to me the options that I can choose here. I'm going to choose another recipe because I want a third recipe here in my vegetable chapter. I just put my cursor on the recipe and I just click it and it automatically inserts a new recipe here.
I have a quick question. I understand everything that you've said here about inserting a new recipe page. I'm watching versus doing it because I've got a concentrate on what you're doing here. When you have the recipe page and you have the ingredients, like there, it's set up on the table for 3, but obviously a lot of our recipes could have many more ingredients than that. Does the table grow on that page automatically?
It does.
Can you add like ingredient 4 and it just goes farther down the page?
Exactly. Let me demonstrate that. Great question, Donna.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to put my cursor here on the end of the number 3 for ingredient 3, and I want to add a 4th ingredient. So all I'm going to do is press my enter key. Here's my new little bullet point. So you can see now that I can type in, 1 1/4 teaspoon
Sure.
cinnamon. Okay, say I want to do, let's say 3 cups, whoops, sorry, flour. All right, enter key. So you can see how it keeps advancing for you. And
Right, that's what I thought it did, but since I'm not actually doing it right now, I just wanted to make sure that that's what would happen, so.
Correct. Now, the other.
And then with the instructions, what if you get to the bottom of the page and you still need a little bit more?
It will automatically go on to another page, and you just keep continuing with that.
Okay, gotcha,
and
gotcha, okay.
It will automatically update. Now, the other thing I want to show you here is you'll see over in instructions, you see how these have got them listed as 9, 10, 11, 12, okay? What happened was here is that as I kept adding a new recipe, it assumed I was continuing my instructions, okay? So I want to revert back to a number, okay? I'm going to put my cursor here on the word just prior to the word insert. Okay. All right. You can do it either 2 ways. Let me see if I can get this to work correctly. All right. If I click on the number 05, you see where my cursor is sitting there on the number 05? You see 05, 06, 07, and 08 automatically highlighted. Okay. I'm going to click my right mouse button.
Right. Okay.
And I'm going to, let's see if I want to translate this back.
Restart at 1.
Yeah, restart at 1.
There you go.
And now you can see that you got your items restarted back at 1. So
if someone has sent us the recipe, like they took a copy of it on their phone and sent it to us, do you just insert that in here, or would you just retype it?
Well, all of your text is going to match itself if you retype it. Now, if you have an image that is sent to you, if it's very, very clear, then you could possibly take out this table, okay, and just put that in there. To do that, all right, you see where my cursor is sitting there blinking here on the word insert? Okay. Up here in the far corner, you see a little square with I'm trying to get my mouse to kind of point directly towards it, with a little crosshatch inside of there. All right, if I click on that little crosshatch, it highlights my entire table at that point. You have 2 new tabs coming up here on the top of your screen. It says Table Tools. One says Design, one says Layout. Under the Layout tab of it, right here under Rows and Columns, you see the word Delete. You click on that, you have the option of saying Delete Table. You would take the table, and that would remove the table, and then you can insert a picture in that location, which would be the item that someone just sent to you. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
So you have some options there. If people do send you images, okay, which is probably how you're going to get it, you really want to scrutinize it very closely to figure out, okay, is it readable? Are there, enough splashes on it and stuff like that? Because other people, once you print this, are going to have to read it. And if it looks decent enough, go ahead and put it in. It'll save yourself some steps. If you want everything to look consistently, I'd recommend that you go ahead and you retype it in. Handwriting is very difficult to read over time, okay? And sometimes when we're trying to do like a teaspoon or a tablespoon, and they do those abbreviations, you know, everything might get a little bit jumbled as a result of that. One of the challenges with the genealogy project, when you're looking back at some of the old information that they've had in the archives, is that, you know, they didn't have computers at that time period. No one was typing anything in. They were all handwriting. Well, as a result, there's been a lot of errors in the records as a result of people trying to interpret what someone wrote, whether it be, you know, that super spidery sort of cursive writing. It can be really, really decorative. And as a result, with all the twists and turns and curly cues and all that sort of thing, you're getting the correct wording sometimes is quite challenging. So actually typing it out would solve that issue. Now, it's not to say that you can't include it as an image so people can actually see what the original one is. Because underneath here, you just tap underneath here, this of our little table here. We're not going to insert a picture, but we could actually insert a photo here, and you could actually have a small snippet of the original recipe there, so people would have the ability to see it, to recognize and appreciate the fact of how old the recipe actually is, because it's in that ancestor's handwriting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know I want to include a lot of my mother's recipes, and she did handwrite them for me, so that would be a wonderful thing to be able to do.
Exactly. Just having it right down here in this space, or even as a page following it. Or remember, they're in our section. Remember, I had that section info page. That is the perfect place to also have a couple of these, you know, little images of these recipes with her face, your mother's face. And then you can actually kind of, yeah, these are her contributions. She may not be here at this moment, but here she is. All right. This is what I want to share with you. So
it's going to make me cry.
I'm sorry. But it's a great way to be able to honor her memory in that regard.
Absolutely.
And also be able to see her handwriting. All right, so that's how you would enter in, and you would keep increasing all of your items here, okay? The last thing I want to show you is I'm going to take my cursor here on the little side of my screen, and I'm going to come back up to page 3, which is my table of contents. And Joyce will figure out where you got your table of contents when you started updating your particular template there. All right, but here on page 3, we have our table of contents. All right, I'm going to take my cursor. I'm going to click anywhere on this screen, anywhere on this tablet. All right, it highlights this whole thing. We have these 2 action buttons appear here at the top. If you hit update table, make sure you click the option here that says update entire table and hit OK. It goes out and it will, I'm not sure why this is must still be reading the fact that I have the insert there. It's got these 2 things here, and it will automatically update with your sections, but also see that your page numbers have also updated automatically for you. So here's my section holder here. Now I had to just remove my Elaine's recipe book twice just because it just seemed to want to import that. I'm sorry about that. But here's my chapter heading of vegetable trays. And here are the pages that follow it. Okay, so if I had another one there with, let's say, fruit trays, all right, they'll say fruit trays right here. And then the recipes with their page numbers will be immediately following below that. So that's
all automatic by using update table.
Automatic. So let me go back really quickly in my in my template. I'm going to update these recipe names so you can actually see that happen. Okay. So give me just a second. All right, so let's say kebab. This one. We'll do vegetable dip.
Do you have to do the section name or not? You don't have to do that.
You do not. It was just an option
Okay.
I wanted to provide to you,
Okay.
just in case you did want it.
Okay.
Because a template is, you know, it assumes certain things, and it's
Yep.
open to you to actually say, okay, well, I want to keep this, I don't want to keep this, that sort of thing.
Okay. Yep.
My computer's acting a little slow, so bear with it. And let's say this is carrots and celery. I mean, again, I'm just kind of throwing some names there. So I'm going to come back up to my table of contents. Click anywhere on the table of contents, which you see text there, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You'll see the option come up here with update table. All right, now when I hit update table, again, it did all this stuff here, so I just have to delete this. For whatever reason, it's repeating this. I'm not sure why, but it is. All right. Okay, so here's my vegetable trays header. Here's my author's note. Again, if I was going to write something about vegetable trays. All right, here's my kebab. Here's my vegetable dip. Here's my carrots and celery with my page numbers. To get off of it, all I have to do is click below it. And it's automatically updated. It's on page 3. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to, if I insert a recipe in between, let's say kebab and vegetable dip, okay, by using the same technique that we did, insert page break, creates a new page, put the new recipe template in, adjust it as needed. It will automatically update here with your page numbers, and you're good to go. If Donna had asked if your instruction list went beyond the 4 that we've got identified there, then went on to a second page for that recipe, it will only list this name here, and it will say page 7, but then carrots and celery will read, because we have this second page to vegetable dip on there, this will, instead of not read 8, it'll read 9. So that way you know exactly where to flip to inside of your cookbook.
Okay.
Makes sense? I know it's a lot to absorb, but this is
What are you implying?
But like I said at the very beginning, if you have difficulties with your cookbook and the template or anything like that, please give me a call. I do not want you to feel that I am just kind of throwing this out to you and leaving you to your own devices. I am here for you to be able to answer any questions that you have, to get over any obstacles, so we can make sure that your cookbook reflects what you want it to be.
Okay.
And remember,
I have a cool. Go ahead.
Yes, Donna, go ahead.
A quick question, because I told you we've kind of got some technology issues here because my computer recently died. So I'm going to have to update, and I really want to do it on my own.
Yes.
So as long as I keep my email from you, I'll be able to download those things and do it on my own computer. This is a very old computer that I'm on, and I think I will be better off if I just wait and do it on one that is more up to date. So
Perfectly fine. Perfectly.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure that I could do that.
And if you misplace the email, again, just contact me and I can resend it to you.
Okay. I think I'm pretty sure I'll, be good about hanging on to it. This stuff all happened just recently, and it's like, I still want to do this. So thank you.
Not a problem. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my share at this moment, unless somebody has any other questions about the template.
Just one,
Yeah.
when you, there's a vegetable trays title there. If let's say you had cookies or something after that, you would just do another title page.
Yeah, what you would do. Okay, so I'm going to come down here to my end. Okay. All right. So And again, let me show, while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you one more time how to update this one here to start from the beginning. I'm going to click on 5. See where it highlights everything. I'm going to right click it. I have my option restart at 1. So that way I can always keep those concurrent. All right, now to add a new chapter, okay, I'm going to click anywhere down here below the table. I'm going to click my insert tab here on the top of my screen. And on this ribbon here under the pages group, I'm going to hit page break. I'm on page 9 now. All right, I want to add a new chapter. So here under, still on insert tab, down further on my ribbon here under text, because I enlarged my screen a little bit more, and now you can actually see the word quick parts. Right, if I click on this,
Different one. All
right, I'm going to choose instead section page. So here's my section page. Come back up here again.
Okay. All right.
All right. So this one I'm going to do
Just say cookies.
cookies. Sure. Cookies. And I'm going to take this out. And we'll take this out.
Oh, you just hit on a different topic in the template.
Exactly. So here's my new header. I'm going to click underneath of it. We're down here on this page.
Right.
I'm going to insert another blank page. Okay. And this is where I want to start, and I don't want to do any sort of info on it. Okay. But instead, I just want to start with my recipes on cookies. So here's my blank page. Again, I'm still on my insert tab. Come over here under my text group. Here's my quick parts. Come on. Being a little difficult here today. All right, here's my first one with my recipes.
Okay.
And there's my recipe. All right, so I'm going to title this as, just we see it kind of appear on our table of contents. Let's do my father's favorite chocolate chip cookies. Okay. All right, so we now have this new recipe there. Come back up here to my table of contents. I'm going to click anywhere on here. I'm going to hit update table.
Right.
Update the entire table because I've added a new section now. Update the entire table.
Okay.
Hit OK. All right, again, this is going to appear here, so I just have to get rid of this. Again, I don't know why it's doing that, but it's just doing it. But here I have vegetable trays. Here's still my kebab, my vegetable dip, and my carrots and celery. But now I see cookies, so this is my new chapter of cookies. And now I see my father's favorite chocolate chip, and you see now it's on page 10. Donna, remember how you were saying, you know, what happens if you went to page 2, all right, and the numbers?
Yeah.
This is the same thing here because my cookies actually took up page 9, all right? But I don't necessarily have that as a page number that I'm identifying. I want them to focus on the recipe, so that's why you see this page 10.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I think that particular feature is like amazing that it recreates that automatically. So it's a nice feature, that's for sure.
Definitely, and that and the quick parts and editing the footer area, that is all some of the advanced features that we're bringing in with this particular class. All right, is there anything?
Well, I appreciate it.
Is there anything else I can answer on this particular top? Then we're going to quickly slip back to the PowerPoint and we'll be done in about 2 minutes.
All right, I just want to make sure you are recording this, and how do we access that recording?
All right, I will be sending everyone a thank you for attending the class today. And in that thank you note, you're going to see a path name, just the same as when you had to access the Zoom meeting here. It will be the pathway to a YouTube, our YouTube page, which is where this particular recording will be placed.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my share at this moment. Okay. And then I'm going to come back to my PowerPoint. So let's see if I can get back into my PowerPoint. Beginning. I don't want to start from the beginning. All right, it's not going to bear with me as I have to minimize this for just a second. On the current slide. There we go. Can everybody see my PowerPoint back on the screen now?
Yeah.
All right, this is all about printing tips. All right, you've created this wonderful cookbook for yourself. You've saved it. Everything is looking fantastic for you. You edited and proofed everything, and you want to actually hit the print button at this point. You're going to revisit all of your decisions that you made on how you want to bind your document and to move forward at this point. I'm going to assume that you're going to either take it to, let's say, an office supply store like Office Depot or Staples or something and use them, or you can easily come into the library to use our color printer, or you would have something available at your house. When you hit the print button on this, I want you to seriously consider using paper design for color or images. Not necessarily like for photos, like if you're going to just do, if you're going to print your photo reel from a trip or something like that. But there are some heavier bonded paper that are specifically designed for color. And it provides a lot better adhesion to it, as well as sometimes it's a little bit thicker, which will also be a big consideration, because if you use inkjets, that becomes very, very wet. And you're going to want to let your pages dry separately before you start shuffling them all together. Consider only printing on one side of your document, okay? You have document here, but then this is blank. Reason being is that once it lays ink on one side and then it starts doing the other, you may see that image kind of come through on the back side of your part. When you're talking about recipes, you want to make sure it's as pristine as possible. So you don't want to have maybe the hint of the image that you have on the back side coming through to the front, and then it changes something from, let's say, 1.5 to 1.25 just by the way the shadows fall on. If you want to do like some laminating, or if you want to put your item in, let's say, sheet protectors, which are a great option for lamination, because that way you can actually remove it from your binder, whether it be a 3-ring binder, or whether it be even laying it flat with this sort of spiral sort of spine, that sort of thing. It protects it in case of splatter, because people are going to have it out while they're making this stuff. They'll be able to wipe it clear at that particular time. When you have a document printed on one side each, okay? Again, you still might have some bleed through just because of the way the two documents are. What you can consider doing is actually insert a blank piece of paper in between. So now you actually have 3 pages. You have this image, you have a blank, and then you have the other one printed here. You can't see anything through there. And now you have this sort of thing that you can secure or laminate as needed. If you take it to a office supply store, they would be able to give you some more options inside of that to avoid that bleed through effect, as well as to make sure that it's opaque enough that you can't see what's on the backside, so you can actually do double-sided printing. That was just a few little printing tips for you. I just wanted to kind of throw that out for some consideration, because once you hit that print button, you may not even think about the fact that if you have an inkjet printer at home, that it may cause some further issues for you. And I don't want that to happen. This is supposed to be a prize or a gift or something that you want to put on your shelf. Let's make sure it looks the best it can possibly be. All right. And that was all I had for today's class. I know we started off a little rough just trying to get all of our files downloaded and all, but we've covered a lot of ground at this particular point.
Yeah.
Anything that I can answer as a last question for you?
Thanks very much.
Not a problem.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, good luck, Joyce.
All right, I'm going to stop the share. And I'm also going to stop the recording at this point.